Minette along at 10, Trisha Doo at 2-2, all to come on your day at BBC CWR, and delighted to catch up once again with our movie critic from Stratford-upon-Avon. James Luxford is back with us this morning. Morning, James.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us this morning. Before we start talking films and movies, your tweets yesterday, whilst watching the presidential inauguration, we're talking this morning about how our audience have kind of viewed those images. Even people who weren't normally sort of connected to politics found the significance of that yesterday. I mean, what did you make of what you saw yesterday, and some of the images of yesterday?
I just, like everyone, I was just enthralled by it. I think it's like you said, I'm not really connected to politics, but I think it affects us all, obviously, and there's not a more, I suppose there is something quite cinematic about what happened yesterday and the transfer of power, and I think particularly the performance by young Amanda Gorman, who delivered the poem.
America's young poet laureate yesterday, who also had a stutter like Joe Biden, who delivered the most powerful poem, didn't she, yesterday?
Absolutely, and you're talking about sort of movie moments. Just at 22, just standing up there in front of the entire world and managing to put the feelings of so many into just a few lines, but a few lines with just so much power. And I thought it was very moving and very engrossing.
And with that in mind, you've chosen for us a political classic as your first movie pick for us this morning.
Yes, very apt. On iPlayer now, it's All the President's Men, a 1976 drama starring Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman as journalists whose investigation blows open the infamous Watergate scandal.
All the President's Men, the story of the two young reporters who cracked the Watergate conspiracy.
Did you know Howard Hunt?
Well, the White House said he was doing some investigative work.
What do you say?
They stumbled into leads.
Certainly it comes as no surprise to you that Howard was with the CIA.
No surprise at all.
This whole thing is a cover-up. It's right on our nose.
And piece by piece, they solve the greatest detective story in American history.
The story of Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, the Washington Post reporters who uncovered, as you say, the Watergate scandal. It is probably my top 3 movies of all time, James. So I've probably watched this a million times back over and over. But it's very timely, isn't it, that this is on the BBC iPlayer at the moment?
It's very apt if you're in the political mood and set in Washington, and it, as you say, it's probably one of the great political thrillers. It's probably something that anything about a conspiracy, anything about politics or Washington, or anything that tries to put recent events in the kind of the context of a thriller, it's compared to All the President's Men. It's almost a category all of itself. A classic political thriller that dramatized a dark time in American history. Of course, sort of the 70s, mid to late 70s were considered quite an unusual and tumultuous time in American history, and you might say there's some parallels with recent events, with America just sort of trying to redefine itself, redefine what it says to the world. And of course, 2 amazing stars. Robert Redford probably at the peak of his powers. Dustin Hoffman is terrific as well. It's a great time to watch such an influential film.
All the President's Men is available on the BBC iPlayer. Moving on to a pick for us for Saturday night on 5 Star, James.
Yes, Saturday 9 p.m. 5 Star. It's What Lies Beneath. Michelle Pfeiffer stars as a woman who learns a disturbing truth about her husband when she starts experiencing supernatural visions.
I heard noises, and I didn't want to disturb you, but at the house, I was scared.
I had an affair with her. She came out here to the house.
Get out!
We can put this behind us.
What does she look like?
She looked like me, only she had green eyes. I think she's starting to suspect something. Your wife.
I've seen a lot of Michelle Pfeiffer, have we, in recent years? Good to see her again in this.
Yes, she's due to be in this sort of quite dark comedy coming out soon called The French Exit, which is something you should definitely look out for. But this is probably one of her biggest hits. Of course, co-starring Harrison Ford, who you just heard there as the husband. Very spooky, a few jump scares in there, and two terrific stars in Pfeiffer and Harrison who work very well together. For me, more than being scary, a horror film has to have a good story, and this is just a very complicated mystery that keeps sort of drawing you in.
Okay, so from a political thriller and a horror mystery to something that's very much a family favourite.
Yes, on Sunday, 4:30 on ITV2, it's Despicable Me, a huge animated hit from a few years ago. Steve Carell voices a supervillain whose plans to steal the moon are derailed when he adopts 3 daughters.
For Groove, being a supervillain isn't easy.
We stole the Statue of Liberty, the small one from Las Vegas.
He has to control
Listen up, please.
an army of minions,
Dave.
and he's about to inherit
Hello?
3 small problems.
You will not cry, or sneeze, or burp, or fart. No annoying sounds.
Does this count as annoying?
It's brilliant, and it works with adults as well as kids. And of course, this was the first time we were introduced to the Minions, James, wasn't it?
It is great fun, and you're absolutely right. It introduced the Minions, which became a massive craze that I think is still popular with little ones today. Steve Carell goes all out in the lead as the lead character grew, and just something irresistible about the way he brings sort of this ineptitude to the traditional super villain role. A lot of laughs, and as you say, one of those movies that in the 2000 and 2010s that kind of became a big hit because it appealed to little ones and also appealed to the accompanying adults. And I think this is something that's really going to appeal to the whole family.
Good stuff. 4:30, ITV2 on Sunday for Despicable Me. James, have a good weekend. Appreciate you coming on this morning. Good to catch up with you again.
Thank you very much.
James Luxford, our movie critic from Stratford-upon-Avon, with us this morning on BBC CWR. A couple of texts and calls from you, those of you in the Kenilworth area.